I want to take you through presenting the report of findings page by page. Now in this report of findings, this is from an actual patient, and what you need to know about this is that there's more images in here than I would normally use. I really recommend that you don't use more than 6 to 8 different X-ray images. If you do more than that, it's going to be too much, but I put more in here just so I can talk about them and tell you how I would use them. It's not all the analysis that this software does, it's about half. So you can use what you want. The other thing that you'll see is these boxes here. Now those boxes represent the patient's last name, and it's been blacked out, so that's why it appears that way. You see another one down here. That's what that is. So information that you get at the bottom of every report page: the patient's first and last name, their date of birth, the analysis date, and your practice name. So you'll see that you can put in your referring doctor, the date of the images, the date of the analysis, and this is the front page that prints out. Your information and address will appear up here. All right, so that being said, let's go down to the next page. The first thing that I like to talk about with my patients is posture. So you get a complete posture analysis here that you can capture right from your software. Digital camera hooked through the USB port, you'll be good to go. You can use these backdrops. You'll see that there's these boxes. Each box represents 2 inches. Every 6 inches there is a little red orange mark. So from here to here is 12 inches, and that's what calibrates the software. So here's how I start on this page. I start by telling the patient the first thing we look at is your posture. And what we do is we draw a line from the center of your feet, and I take my pen and I do this as I'm explaining it. Through the center of the abdomen, through the center of the chest, and through the center of the eyes. And that line should match this weight-bearing line, this green line that goes up through, straight up perpendicularly. And what I tell them is that the green lines are normal and the red lines are where they are. And then you can down here and talk about the stresses and stress loads. I generally don't talk a lot about anterior stresses. Sometimes I do if it's a lot. Like in this case, her head translation is 0.29 inches off to the right side. She's shifted this way. So that's certainly worth mentioning. Now from the side view, I'll show them the same thing. So we start here, we draw a line from the center of the ankles to the center of the knee, through the center of the pelvis, to the center of the shoulder, and the center of the ear. And those points should also be on that green line. Then I ask them, do you see how your head's forward here? This is a 2-inch square. As I said, that means that you have actually moved forward, and there it is, 1.86 inches. So based on your body weight, and I usually don't say body weight with women. I usually don't say body weight with men. I just say your body weight that you reported or that you weighed, whatever, if you collected the data. Here's what your body weight was. Based on that, your head is translated 1.86 inches forward of the gravity line, which means your head would weigh this much if we would remove it and weigh it based on your body weight. But because of that shift, it feels like your head weighs 44.24 pounds. And I'll use an analogy of like trying to carry a gallon jug of milk through the supermarket. You know, you may make it up and down one aisle before your hand is going to give out. So I talked to him about how that stress load is going to cause extra weight-bearing stress. With the head being forward, it's going to cause stress loads here. It may cause the curve in the low back to increase, which increases stress load on the low back. So I relate the changes in posture to the stress that's being created. The next thing we look at is range of motion. So in this case, we've got 6 different views to look at. Cervical, we've got flexion extension, left and right rotation, and left and right lateral flexion. So what the software will do is it will show you a green line, and the green line right here represents the normal motion. The red line represents what the patient was able to do. It then shows that the patient performed 32 degrees out of a normal 60, which is a 46.7% loss of motion. So I show them each one and point out, like sometimes I'll draw an arrow, you've lost all of that motion, you've lost all of this motion, and make it an interactive experience for them, not just handing them this report to take home. So I tell them then that a loss of motion is an indication of tight ligaments, tight muscles, it could be degenerative changes. All of these things go together. Whatever is applicable, point it out. This is why your motion is restricted, and it's one of the things we want to work at getting back. So I also do lumbar range of motion. And lumbar range of motion prints on 2 pages so that the images are big enough to see. And what we'll look at is how much motion is lost. Again, the green line represents normal. The red line is where they went. In this case, she went past the minimum requirements to be normal, so 0% loss of motion. But on extension, here's the normal. She was only able to get to 18 degrees out of 25, meaning she has a 28% loss of normal motion. Right and left lateral flexion, again, same thing. We're talking about losses. So point out, here's a 24% loss, pretty much normal. So is something happening on this side that's causing her to be restricted? And this is something that you can check with a repeat exam down the road to show progress and improvement. This is where we start with X-rays. So in this case, we've got lateral pictures here that I'm going to show, and you can pick whatever images you wish to use. In this case, the line should be converging in the front and diverging in the rear, and it's just the opposite of normal. They're coming together here, diverging here. So normal is about 7 degrees, and she is going backwards or the opposite direction, 1.55 degrees. So that's a loss of 8.55 degrees, and that's how I would report it. Let the patient know that they've lost 8.55. Write it on there, circle it, show them that's what's happening. With each image, the goal is to let the patient see the problem. I let them take it home. I don't read all this at the bottom. I don't read this information on each report, the normal text. I let them take that home and read it themselves. They can go over it and learn about it. In this case, it shows a 4 millimeter anterior translation, so weight bearing is going to be abnormal in their cervical spine. One of my favorite images to show, the normal cervical lordosis. And I showed them, here's your normal green line. This is where the back of each vertebra should be. These red lines represent the back of the vertebra. And in an ideal situation, the red lines will be superimposed over the average or normal green line. So do you see how this is not the way it should be? Let them acknowledge and understand that this is not what we want. And if you do a corrective type of procedures, fine. Talk to them about that. But this shows them where they should be and where they actually are. Cervical baselines. When I use this image, I always talk about how these lines would all be coming together at one point back here. The bottom of each cervical vertebra coming together at one point. When we look at their neck in this case, all the lines are kind of coming up to one point, and C1 is coming down and crossing everything else. And I tell them, do you see that there's a disrelationship between those vertebrae? Yes. And then this down here talks about it. It also reports that it's abnormal. On this analysis, it's going to talk about spondylolisthesis and how much disrelationship there is. So the software is going to break down the vertebra into all the corresponding parts that we normally would use a pencil to do. And it shows a normal line. The normal George's line is how it should be, a smooth line from top to bottom. And then it shows them the percent of offset at each level. And down here it grades it. So in this case we have a grade 1. You got a grade 1, grade 1, grade 1. So if you want to talk about that, you want to get into spondylolisthesis, there it is. It also explained to them the ligament damage that's resulting because of that. This is the same spondylolisthesis rating page for the lumbar spine, and showing the normal George's line, the normal position of the lumbar spine, and then talk to them. And I circle where there's an offset of significance, like in this case, L5S1 is 3.81%. You can circle that and show them L45 is 2.50. Show them the offset. Explain how this one perfectly lines up with the one below it, where in this case it doesn't line up perfectly. There's an offset there. When I go over the lumbar gravity line, I do it like this. I say this line is created by drawing a line through the center of the third vertebra and dropping a line straight down, and it should hit the tip of the sacrum. In your case, we drew a line through the center of the third vertebra. We dropped that line down and it hit here. And this difference indicates that you have an anterior shift of that vertebra of 11.67 millimeters. So that's going to change the loading on the posterior parts of the lumbar spine. It's going to cause an increase of wearing in the disc spaces like we see here at L5-S1. Point out what's happening. Let them understand and see what these weight-bearing lines mean. This one shows the average or normal, near normal lumbar curvature. So again, just like with the cervical spine, the red lines are on the back of each vertebra, and the green line is the average normal spine. So we want the red lines to be on the green line. The other thing that this shows is the amount of translation. So it's going to measure the difference between this point and this point. That difference is going to be reported right down here, showing them any shift or deviation in the lumbar spine. Sacral base angle. I generally draw a line here to show that this is the angle we're measuring, and that angle should normally be 52 degrees like they're going to see down here. And if that line is abnormal, I tell them that that can cause increased loading on the facet joints or facet joints in the lumbar spine, leading to premature wearing of that disc space or those joints at that level. Lumbar base lines, the software will tell you if the lines are tilted. If the lines are tilted more than 3 degrees, it reports it as abnormal. This will report a short leg if one leg shows to be higher than the other. You'll see two lines across here, and the difference will be repeated or be reported. In this case, both lines are of the same length, so there is no short leg reported. You also see the sacral angle, in this case 2.74 degrees. The cervical, thoracic, and lumbar spine will all report shifts left or right of each vertebra from the center. So in this case, you've got a 1.64 at C3, and it shows it all the way down to 7, so that you can see if it's shifting, and then with your adjustment and with your treatment, is it moving back towards center. Another thing that SpineTech does that's very useful is it will allow you to use the Merrick System and show subluxation listings. So if you want to report from within the software, you just click on what you want to report, and it generates this, which is also, this is available as a large 3 foot by 2 foot, 2 foot this way, 3 foot this way, obviously, wall vinyl chart that we've created. This is our artwork. And it's not precisely anatomically correct for every nerve. That's not the purpose of this chart. It's really close. But here's the purpose. The purpose is that you can then, if the person has a sacral issue on the right and into the left hip, you can mark that. This is your sacrum, all right? So that sacrum innervates this area. It sends messages down this side, and here's what that area goes to. It's just a thing. And I don't tell patients that we're going to resolve their reproductive organs or that it's causing hemorrhoids or any of those things. I just let them know that their nervous system is doing more than just pain. And so by printing this, if they have an L5 issue that you've talked about in the X-rays, you have an L5 issue. It's right here, and that nerve comes out, goes all the way down the leg. And you let them take this home. You don't want to fill this up with, this is really too many that are on here now, but I did it as an example just to show you what some of the ones report. It's better to have 2 or 3 at most and marked so that the patient can see, they had a C1 issue here, and that goes to eye and lacrimal glands and can bother areas in the back of the spine. And that's enough to take home to be able to share. And that's what this report's for. Now, another nice feature with SpineTech is that it includes the ability to put in your own custom recommended action plan. So what I mean by that is that everything on this page can be edited and changed so that you can quickly click down. Your plan is based on your age, your foot exams. Maybe you do an AK analysis. Maybe you do a digital spinal electro analysis. Whatever you want to put in here, you can change these so that you could have 100. And when you go down on the template in the software, you just click the ones you want, check them off, and it only prints the ones that you've checked. It puts it into the report. All of this information here can be customized to your practice. This, you can put in here whatever you want. I put in omega-3, 3 caps of bed with water, just as an example. So you've got, here's what I'm basing it on. Here's what we're going to do. Here's the supplements you're going to take. Here's how I'm going to treat you. Here's what your responsibilities are. Of course, this is also completely editable. You can put your own custom text in there. Then the features and benefits of your care plan and how it works. You can change all this. These are templates too, so you can have 100 of those if you wish. So here's how I present this. I say, in this case, Melissa, I've put together your plan, and it's based on this. Your age, in your case, your age is in your favor. It should allow you to heal faster. The MRI we looked at showed that you had some disc herniation, and that's going to be a little bit of a difficulty for us. It may respond quickly. We'll see how it goes. The foot scans that we did, I usually show them my foot scans as a side note. I let them see the one to take home. Your foot scans showed that you're walking abnormally, your gait is abnormal, and that's going to need to be addressed because we're dealing with a hip issue. The number of exam abnormalities, if you remember, we had quite a few things that caused pain the other day when we were checking you out and doing an examination. Those exam findings that we found that were positive, that caused pain or increased your symptoms, that's going to make things a little more difficult to resolve overall pain and get you back to where you want to be. And of course, the posture and the range of motion issues that we looked at just a few minutes ago show that you have some tight ligaments, some tight muscles, and some things that we have to address. So I recommend that we do spinal adjustments on your cervical, thoracic, and lumbar region. I'd also like to adjust your right hip until we get it moving the way it should be going. And we'll use some hot packs and some electrical stim before we adjust you to loosen things up. So I'd also like to get you on some omega-3s to help with inflammation. I wrote down here I want you to take 3 caps at bedtime with water. Right before you go to bed, take your omega-3s. As far as a treatment plan, we're going to see you 5 times a week for the first 2 weeks. And at the end of that time, those 10 visits, you should be doing somewhat better. If you're not, we're going to look at things, and I may have to refer you, but I feel pretty confident that you're going to make some progress. So if you're doing somewhat better by the end of those 10 visits, we'll continue. And I think to get to a level of maximum improvement in your case, to resolve this for you, I'm going to want to see you about 3 times a week for 5 weeks, and then we'll see you 1 time a week for 6 weeks. So over the next 3.25 months, I'm going to see you 31 times. All right? I want you to come to the health workshop. I want you to do the home exercises that I'm going to give you here in a minute. And I'm going to also have you do the traction, as we'll show you to do at home. So along with that, I want you to know that we're going to check you out every 12 visits. We're going to do a re-exam to see how the range of motion and your posture is improving. And I'm also going to get you set up here next door with 90 days of trainer-directed exercise here at the local gym. So does that all make sense? All right, so with all of that, I've given that patient more than they get almost anywhere else. All of that took to create this will take you literally less than 60 seconds. All right, 60 seconds, you can print this up, have this ready to give. Now, it doesn't stop there. There's another really great benefit to this software, and that is that you also get a financial agreement. Now, here's the really cool thing about the financial agreement. This financial agreement, again, completely customizable to fit your practice. All of these dates have drop down, so you just click the menu, go to the date you want to select for the treatment range based on your care plan. And this is customizable. All the text that's in here is customizable. You can put in whatever you like. So all that you're going to do to use this, and you can put multiple lines. Like if you want to have 5 lines of stuff, you might want to put your chiropractic care is this, your physical therapy is this, your massage therapy is this, and your home care stuff is this. You can put all that in. And then if you put a negative number, like maybe they already paid on their first visit $400, you want to take that off, you can put a minus $400 on a new line, and that will take that off. So you can make, I like to keep it as simple as possible. So I just put in doctor recommended adjustments in therapy. I give it 1 line. This is the cost of all your care in the office. In this case, it's a cash patient. Now, if it's an insurance patient, I would take and write, your insurance is expected to pay $1,800. So your responsibility would be at the bottom. Then your total investment the math is automatic, is what I'm saying. All right. So you put this in, and it automatically calculates some stuff. You can set the percentage for prepay. If people want to pay in cash, you can set that, and it's going to show them their savings. If they want to pay a one-time payment of $2,014, they're going to save $355.50. And you can make this text whatever you want to say. Monthly payment, you can put in the number of months you're going to allow them to make payments. And in this case, I'm going to see the patient for about 4 months, so I'm going to give them 4 months to pay. once a month and auto charge whatever. Or they can do, in my office we take care credit. So if they do care credit and they're accepted, they get 18 months at $131.67 a month, and it also breaks it down to what that is per day. You can make this say whatever you'd like it to say, but the benefit here is it's very fast. Again, you'll be able to prepare this in way less than 60 seconds. All right, it's very quick, easy to use, and it's going to help you speed things up. So that's how I would put together a report of findings. It takes me approximately 5 to 10 minutes to do a complete report like we saw there. So first I go over the chart that we saw at the beginning. I do that whole chart flip thing, and then I give them this. And it's a no pressure thing. I say, you're welcome to get adjusted today and see what it's all about and decide on this, go home, talk it over, and pick something. I found the less you push and the more you're all about getting them to where they need to be, the better your retention is going to be and the more case acceptance you're going to have. So if you have any questions, give me a call. I'll be happy to help you with that. With any questions you have on how to use this or what I say, what I do, I'd be more than happy to share with you. Have a great day, and I hope this does help.